This is a food processor I reach for almost every time I cook. Not because it's fancy, but because it actually makes everyday cooking faster and easier. I love how easy this is to assemble. I also love how quickly it works and that I can use it for multiple functions. Not only does it work as a standard food processor, but you can put the slicing and shredding blade on the top of it and quickly and easily slice your foods without having to use a difficult and dangerous mandolin. And a bonus is how easy it is to clean. I love how I can prep several different types of food using the food processor, and it's small enough that I can actually store this away in my cabinetry. I do not keep this out on my countertop year round. Look how easily these pieces assemble. The lid actually just snaps on, as does the base, and you can just slide the blade right over the top of the center pedestal. I like this as opposed to the previous older version of this food processor where you had to twist on the basket, and that was sometimes difficult to line up and arrange. This one just assembles much more quickly. There's only 3 buttons on the front, and these are really sturdy and durable. There's an on, off, high, low, or pulse. For the pulse one, you do have to hold it down the entire time. This does come in really handy when you want to control how fine your food is actually processed. This comes in really handy for things like nuts and breadcrumbs. This design is a real improvement over the previous version. You can see that when you're finished, all you need to do is unlatch the lid and you can completely remove it. This makes it really easy to clean. And then you can also lift this food processor basket straight up. You can see that the blade comes right with it. You can remove that separately. I know that the older version that I had of this exact brand was a little more fiddly. You had to twist off the blade and it wasn't quite as easy to clean. And I have noticed that after having this for several years, I've never had to sharpen the blade. It stays really sharp and I do use this regularly. If you're going to use things like carrots in this basket, you might notice a little bit of staining. That does eliminate over time. It might take a couple of washes, but it will disappear after a while. And this food processor also comes with a slicing and shredding blade. I know that my old one had this too, but I never bothered to learn how to use it. If you look at the really fine printing on the metal here, you can see that the 2 sides actually do 2 different things. One is a medium slice and one is a medium shred. So make sure that the correct one is facing upwards when you place this in your food processor because they do 2 completely different things. I know that I've put mine in on shred when I really wanted to slice and I was a little bit confused. So this kind of replaces a mandolin. It does only do 1 standard thickness, but it's a pretty universal thickness and it comes in great, especially for things like potatoes. The only thing you're really limited by is the shoot size here. Here I'm going to put in a really large carrot and you can see it can only go in so far before it really just stops me. That tube is pretty narrow. I can't even use the plunger to help me out. So I've cut it in half here. It's still pretty wide and I kind of have to force it a little bit, but it still works. I just bring in this little plastic plunger that it comes with and push it in the rest of the way and just feed your carrot in. That way it will work pretty easily. But this is a pretty hard carrot and you can see how easily it really just slices that carrot with really pretty minimal effort. Here's a quick look at those buttons. When I'm using the slicing and shredding blade, I do use the low or high speed. I don't use pulse for this because you do want that blade turning continuously. And here's a little comparison with a much smaller, skinnier carrot, and you can see how much easier that just feeds right into the shoot. It's almost the exact same size. I don't even really need that plunger, but it helps with the very end of it. When you're done, just lift up the latch, remove the lid and the slicing blade, and you can see that the slicing blade did a pretty good job. There are lots of slices in here. Not all of them are perfect. You can see that some of them are a little bit shredded on one side. So depending on how you're presenting this or using this, whether or not that matters to you, but some of them are complete like this. It doesn't really matter to me, so these worked out great. And when you're done, you can just clean this in the sink. I can put this in the dishwasher on the top rack, but I tend to honestly just hand wash these with soapy warm water. I like to give it a little rinse first just to get out any debris, and then I go in with my soap and water and rinse it out. And you can see that each one of these components really rinses out pretty quickly. This was important to me because I'm honestly not going to bother with a kitchen appliance if it's really difficult to clean out. So I just go through and rinse everything, and you can see that there are quite a few pieces, especially if you get out that slicer blade, but it does go by pretty quickly. Just use it in your sink, and I just set it off to the side to drip dry. Everything dries within about half an hour or so, and then I just put everything right underneath my counters and my cabinetry, and I don't even have to worry about it again. It's a really handy food processor. I will say that it's extremely durable. I like the black and stainless steel look. It looks clean and modern. I like that it's used for more than just one thing. I like to use this for things like carrots, but honestly, the number one thing I actually use this for is making homemade peanut butter. I just get an entire jar of salted or honey roasted peanuts and just blend it in this food processor for about maybe 5 minutes. It becomes really smooth, and it's probably the best peanut butter you'll ever have in your life. Just put it on high. The machine will get a little bit warm if you run it for a long time, and you might notice that it jumps around a little bit if you have it on high power. So if you're going to be putting something in here hard like a potato or a carrot and you're going to be putting it on high, make sure you just press down firmly on the top of the blender when you're starting it, just to eliminate any of that shaking and bouncing around. Once it goes through the first few seconds of twirling, it will kind of settle down and be more stable on the countertop. This isn't a game changer for me, just something I noted. And as far as the noise level, it's really not bad. It does have a little bit of a noise like any appliance would. It's comparable to a blender, I would say, and it's not too noisy, but it is going to make a little bit of a noise for you. This is actually my second KitchenAid food processor. My first one lasted about 20 years, and I've had this one about 5 years now. I only had to replace my first one because I lost a part, and it really functioned well until the end. I had no issues with it whatsoever, and this one has been holding up great too. The number one thing I like about it, though, is how easy it is to assemble. I really did not like that twisting motion to put on the basket before. This one, I like how it just snaps in with an audible click. You can feel that it's secure in there. And it's the same with the lid too. I like how it completely removes. It makes cleaning a whole lot easier, and putting in that main slicer blade is really simple too. I haven't had any issues with it getting stuck or anything like that. So this is a really great food processor. It's really a high recommend. I don't use this every single day, but I definitely use it regularly. It's great for shredding. It's also great if you're a baker. It's great for chopping nuts and things like that. So if you're really looking for a durable food processor that will last your lifetime, this one will definitely do the job for you.